Welcome back to Scrum Culture. This week we got a huge episode. Also, if you're so inclined, the best way to help us is to tell a friend. And then they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and boom, we're all having a great time together. So invite as many of your buds into the Scrum as possible. Share this on all channels. Share it on your group chat. Anything helps, and we appreciate every bit of it. I feel like we can each pick a club in the East and the West. Whoever's team goes the furthest wins. And I don't know if the other two split. Maybe we do like a meal and golf outing.
Mm-hmm. Let's start in the West. I am going with the team that had the best defense all year.
Okay.
The Winnipeg Jets.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
They had the number one defense. And here's the thing. In years past, they've always had good goaltending, but he had no help. They didn't score goals. They're third in the league this year on goals scored, or on goal scoring. So they're scoring goals this year, and their defense is still stellar. That's my West. Final answer.
I have a little bit of a stubbornness to me. I pick my way, and I go. I think it's a high-quality trait of someone who knows exactly what they want and know. My wife calls it stubbornness. She doesn't love it, but here we are. So I'm sticking with our friends in the Colorado Avalanche. I think getting all these guys back from injury, going to be great. Some guys have been resting, and even bigger on top of all of it, we've got the big captain, Gabriel Landeskog, coming back in. Guy played a couple games in the A, scored a goal, had the boys up in the suite cheering him on. I think this is the story coming out of the West. They're going to make movies about things like the Avalanche winning this, and I can't wait to golf on y'all. Nathan, out West.
Well, out West, I was in between the benches yesterday.
Ooh.
And I watched the same game as you.
Yep.
And my pick is not the Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh.
It's the Los Angeles Kings.
Ooh.
And the reason why, and I know they beat Colorado with all their big dogs 5-4, but I think a big reason why they beat them only 5-4 is because they played. They didn't play great in the first half of the game.
Okay.
Because I think their big dogs are out.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fair.
But the Kings, before the game against Colorado, they had the least expected goals against in the league.
Damn.
First in the league.
Okay.
It was like right around 2 goals.
I didn't know we were allowed to look at advanced stats, but
I knew this.
That's not available to the public.
This was in preparation for the game against Colorado. They're probably not that now because they gave up 4 goals.
Nate was at NHL Network hacking into the mainframe and getting all these stats.
And I also believe that Darcy Kemper will be a Vezina finalist.
I agree with that also. You went last in the West, so you get to go first in the East. So let's see, what do you have here for us, buddy?
Well, everyone says always, this is the year. This is the year.
Oh,
this
okay.
This is the year. And I think this is the year.
Oh, well.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are my pick in the East. And you chuckle.
Yeah, absolutely.
You chuckle. But the thing I've seen from the Leafs this year is how good defensively they can be.
Okay.
And their response after maybe a bad game.
I mean, I will chuckle at you.
Of course, a lot of people are going to chuckle
That's
at
okay.
me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what it takes. Sometimes you got to really put yourself out there.
I'm putting myself out there big time.
Time. I think the Leafs with everybody that isn't a Leafs fan. I mean, even Leafs.
And I'm not even a Leafs fan.
That's okay. We'll get you.
I'm just making it.
Get your jersey. Who do you want?
Jersey.
You want Marner? You're kind of a Marner guy.
Max Domi.
Oh, okay.
Or Scott Lawton. Give me one of those.
Yes, that in demand. Based on my Cup party allegiances, that's where everything lies. If I get invited to your party, you're my guy. And Dmitry Kulikov treated us very well. We played golf. He had a very nice dinner. Everything was top tier. And for that, I'm going with the ratty Florida Panthers. They got double rat power with Brad getting there. And there's a possibility, and there's something in the back of my mind says there might be too much rat. Like Matt, Sam, and Brad might mix it up too much, and they might not know when to pull back. It's possible they could end up taking some penalties that, against a Tampa power play that could be problematic. Cooch could be looking for that. We'll see. But I love them. And I love non-traditional hockey markets winning things because I think every time it happens, the aforementioned Maple Leafs media, I think it burns them even further.
I'm going Washington Capitals. I love the story. Put a bow on it. Ovi winning the Cup again the same year he wins the scoring title. I think they're all pretty motivated. They beat ass this year. And here's the thing. If I remember correctly, they didn't start off beating ass in the beginning of the season.
They got warm.
Yeah, they started warming up and then they just started trucking. So, which I like, So I just think Washington with the story, they can score goals. They have, decent goaltending, and I think they're good all around.
Yeah,
I agree.
So,
that's a good pick. Well, the Kings, they look good right now for my pick. I picked them in the West.
That's fair.
We're going to move on to Vegas and Minnesota.
Wow. What a surprise. Maybe not a surprise to the folks in Minnesota. They stayed up till like 2 a.m. to watch this game or whatever it was. The boys were ready to rock. I think they just fully stunned Vegas.
I think the Minnesota Wild have gotten zero respect in this series. I want to say probably every person and their cousin has picked Vegas to win this series.
For sure.
But last game, you're right, I think it was the Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy show. The sauce that Kaprizov gave to Matt Boldy for that goal. We were joking around it before we were recording. We were saying, the way that sauce elevated and came down, I said to him, it was like a butterfly landing with sore feet when it landed right on Boldy's tape. You like that, don't you?
Nice.
But I think that this Minnesota team, they have those guys that kind of, drive the force for them offensively, and then they have a bunch of guys that are dogs. They play so hard. That's one thing about Minnesota is they work hard, they finish every check, they're hard to play against. So this is not going to be a smooth ride for Vegas in the first round, I think.
Colorado came out hot, took that first game, got people a little nervous. I think they're the only road team to win game 1. Until they finally let Battle of Florida happen. First game, Colorado looked great, and you almost felt like, they have another gear they could turn into. But then Dallas fucking shifted through 3 gears and looked unreal. Super tight game. Great game.
Yeah, Dallas, Dallas is a Titan too. They're a cup contender for a reason. They've had long playoff runs every year. So you knew they weren't going to roll over after Colorado beat them. But I still think though Colorado, man, the pace they play with, how fast they are, it's going to be tough for Dallas. But you got to give Dallas credit, and I love the story of Colin Blackwell getting that OT goal. Doesn't play the game before, comes in and then gets the OT winner. It was awesome.
Winnipeg has just kind of dominated St. Louis. St. Louis is not.
I wouldn't say dominating though. It's come down to just a couple lapses, don't you think, for St. Louis?
That's what that's all it is in the playoffs.
You're right.
Flash, you're down 2-0. So now you're can we come back and beat Winnipeg this many times in a row? A similarly dominant series that's going on, Toronto, Ottawa, Battle of Ontario. This is you really thought this was the way.
This is the way.
I love referencing him because he's one of my favorite people in hockey. Pete Blackburn said, maybe Toronto's just finding a new way to disappoint everyone, which is an interesting take on it.
Listen.
By winning?
Listen.
Well, that they're setting up fans
to
be let's get your hopes really up.
Listen. I had Larmers look this up for me before the pod.
Are we able to do that? I didn't know we could give him tasks.
It has been
insider information, Nate.
It has been 23 years since the Leafs have had a 2-0 series in a lead.
See, I think this is what Pete was talking about. Yeah. This is new.
Right? Past years, the Leafs would have found ways to lose those games.
True.
These last 2 games, they're finding ways to win. It's just a different feel around the Leafs right now. I know we're only 2 games in.
Okay.
I know we're only 2 games in.
That's okay.
But I'm optimistic.
We can only speak to the current. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We can't theorize what's going to happen in the future. Oh, the Battle of Florida. What a great time already.
Already. And we waited for a while, didn't we?
We waited for a long time. I don't know. I think they had an Usher concert in Tampa or something. They couldn't let him get going. They wanted to hold him back for a little bit. Matthew just looked like he's potentially been healthy for a little bit.
I was actually saying the same thing to someone yesterday. I said, I bet you Matthew Tkachuk has been healthy for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, he definitely did not look like. He definitely didn't look like. All right, shoulder's still.
He didn't miss a beat. Like that goal he had in front of the net on Vasilevsky. I mean, he made Vasilevsky actually look pretty silly.
Yeah, just classic.
I mean, he looked good. Their whole team looked good. I mean, it was like basically a well-oiled machine that was picked up right where they left off in playoffs last year.
Yep. Washington, Montreal. I think Montreal maybe might been one of the most disrespected teams coming in by the general populace, and they looked good. They looked real good. It took a historic moment for them to lose the game. Ovi's first overtime playoff goal makes no fucking sense. How's that never happened before?
Isn't that crazy?
Like, and he celebrated like it was first. He knew. He's like, I've never done this.
He celebrated like he broke Wayne's record.
100%.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He's like, 897. Boom. All right, dude, we get it.
Montreal, it was a case of a little bit of in awe of the first time ever playing playoff hockey, and you heard Marty St. Louis talk about it after. You know, you can't write a story on your first playoff games, right? Because you have to feel it. You have to get out there. You have to feel the pace, the physicality, all those things. And I think a lot of those young players playing their first playoff games, or some guys in a long time, it was like kind of like whoa, and then they settled in, and then you could see the second and third period, and then they're playing good playoff hockey. But
Washington's just a grown man's team.
Exactly.
And like Tom Wilson said something about, he was like, my favorite thing about playoff hockey is he's like, we're all done keeping track of things. Where throughout the year, it's like our stats and this and that, and well, if we go to overtime, we get 1 point, we get that. He's like, playoff hockey, you just go fucking win.
that's it.
The one that definitely looks like the most lopsided, and it's fair, there's reasons. Carolina looks like this is just, they're walking through here.
Yeah, and I think Carolina, out of all the teams in the NHL, as far as setup for success in the first round of the playoffs, I think they got the best bracket or team to play against.
For sure.
You know, because the Devils are they're outmanned right now.
They're just
so many
injured.
injuries, so many guys out. It's going to be hard for them.
I want to know what your guys' favorite moments are so far. We've had a lot of great moments. There's got to be one thing that stuck out. Personally for me, as I've mentioned with my pick, Colorado Avalanche, Josh Manson has been all over the ice. Guy looks like a man possessed, insane. He had an assist. You know, you got to give it up to the assisting D-men also. He had an assist on a goal to Devon Taves driving the net, and Manson just perfectly puts it on his tape. And they do the breakdown of it, and they're kind of like, oh, wow, like Manson gets in the zone and he pulls up. He doesn't go to the net, you know, so I'm like, I need some inside info. So I text Manson, and he's like, look at how many tip-in goals Devon Taves. He's like, there's no way anybody keeps track of it, but he has to lead defenseman in it. And he's like, he told me early on, hey, it might be weird, but look for me, I'm driving the net. And he was like, oh shit, okay. He's like, they don't expect it. So Manson saw him and just perfect vision, dialed it in, and I like literally yelped. I was like, what? I'm like, when I saw who it was, I was like, that was a crazy goal. I'm like, this is why Colorado's dangerous. So far that's...
And I love that insider information. I love that it's like, I love that they had a conversation about it. Hey, I'm going to the net. And then it happened. You know what I mean? It's like, that is...
As standard people, Nate probably laughs at us, but as standard people to think that they actually get together and are like, hey, check it out. I have an idea. And then it fucking works.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy to me. Because hockey seems, for us, it seems so like when we go play hockey, it does not look like, Brian, go to the net. They're not going to be expecting you to drive, and I'm going to tap you in the back. Like, nothing's really planned.
Yeah.
Nate's like, hey, fucking idiots.
I mean, it's just, they're so professional, right? They're so
It's
professional,
crazy.
and they're so good at their I mean, obviously, top 700 players or whatever in the world and whatever. But it's like, the fact that they have that kind of dialogue where that's kind of a little out of position for him, right? Because he's a D-man.
For sure. Should definitely not be driving the net.
Yeah, and so he's just like, hey, look for me.
But I also think that's when he knows he's paired with him. That's why Manson enters the zone and then pulls up. Like, he's carrying the puck and he could drop, but he's like, I know my boy. We can't. Like, there's been times where I've talked to like Josh in the past where he had defensive partners, and he's like, I'll take the puck, and I look over and I see my defensive partner. We're both like trying to rip a little backdoor one timer, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. We're both right here. He's like, if we don't score, we're going the other way, chasing the play. Like, this is not where we want to be.
That's the beauty of Colorado, though. I love watching them play because it's like all 5 of them on the ice. They're not really in a position. They're just all moving. They're everywhere, which is why they're so good.
Yeah, they've kind of broken that standard of like, D-men, like stay here. They're like, no. Yeah.
What's your favorite playoff moment?
I have a 3-part favorite moment. Well, my favorite moment is the Kings' 6th goal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was insane. Everything about that game was insane, as we talked about. But during the second intermission, they were winning 4-2. And it felt like the Kings were dominating. I looked at Hammer, as you know, you can jinx games.
Yeah.
You know, that's because our words are so powerful.
Very powerful.
I told Hammer, I'm like, hey, at least we don't have to worry about overtime. You know, because like Kings are winning. I was like, and then we go in, and then again, I looked at it when it's 5-5, and I'm like, well, I jinxed it. And I'm all, it looks like we were going to overtime because there's like a minute and a half left. And then I go, they have it's a full intermission.
Let me preface this by
Famous last
this week is state testing at Brian's kid's school. And the teacher, Brian's getting ready to go to the game, and the teacher sends out an email. Hey, state testing, very important for our school and the kids. Make sure we have a nutritious meal. We get to bed early. We're doing this while Brian's about to take his kid to LA for a game.
He doesn't have time for fucking overtime.
I mean, I think when I say this, it is already 2 hours past his bedtime, and he's still. I mean, he is nowhere near going to sleep. You know.
No.
So I look at Hammer and I go, ugh, full overtime. Like,
yeah, Brian's doing the math. He's like, oh, they do a full intermission
Yeah.
and then full. He's like, oh,
we're gonna be here for a while. And then so we sit back, in our seats or whatever, and as game go, and then like 30 seconds later, and then he scores. So everyone's losing their mind, and Maddox looks at me and goes, "You jinxed it!" And I'm just
full blame.
Full blame. Mad at me.
It's your fault, Dad.
Full on mad at me.
And I'm like, wait. I'm like, hold on. So he hooked you up, and he hit the first jinx, and that got you tied. But then he was able. I'm like, your dad's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
He's got powerful words.
Pretty good. It's really good, actually.
I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna try to use it for the Ducks.
That's a good playoff moment.
Yeah.
The Ducks would appreciate if you jinx them a little bit.
Unjinx them.
Yeah,
Double jinx them.
Double it up.
Well, speaking of father-son connections, I'm going to go with Max Domi scoring the OT goal for the Leafs.
What a moment.
And I say father-son connections because, as we all know, or some of us that don't know, Ty Domi played for the Leafs for a long time. He's in attendance at the game.
Yep.
I played with Max Domi in Montreal, got to know Max and Ty really well.
Yeah.
Great people. Max is actually one of my favorite teammates I've ever played with.
Oh, wow.
Great kid. And it was like awesome to see him score that OT goal, him being from Toronto.
Yep.
You know, growing up in the Leafs locker room and then watching his dad, like,
Yep.
And Ty never usually makes any kind of facial expressions during the game.
Yeah.
But after that game, he was like smiling and he was happy. Like you could see how, I mean, I can't even imagine being a dad and your son playing for the team you played for, and then your son scores a playoff OT goal. Like that's crazy.
And that's like one of the only things that Ty never did. He never had an overtime playoff goal. So like,
he gets to share that with Max, and it was even cool too. The media asked Travis Green after the game, the head coach of the Senators, and they asked him about Max because Travis Green remembered Max in the locker room as a kid because Travis Green played with Ty for the Leafs. Oh my gosh! But it was a pretty cool story, seeing Max score the goal in Toronto, the connection with his dad, Travis Green, all of it. It was pretty special. So I was happy for him.
That's awesome. That's a great moment. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Hammer. Hold on. Hello, Hammer. I had a frog in my throat.
You okay?
Is that what they call that?
Yep. The big surprise to me thus far, Edmonton stuns Vegas last night.
I couldn't believe it.
And at this point, it's like, I guess I can. They set the NHL record. First time it's ever happened. 5 come from behind wins in a row in the playoffs.
It's crazy.
They just, their forward group is built so deep that like, it used to be Leon. It's why they look actually scary this year because Leon and Connor used to carry the water.
Yeah.
And then now, like somebody posted last night, they're like, Shea Theodore gets blown by to go on a breakaway and score like the 4th goal by Connor Brown. It was like, yeah, like this is where they're at. Like Shea was at the end of his shift, like full power. He maybe isn't getting blown by, but he got blown by. They were all wild ones. Carolina, Washington. Carolina just freaking blasting shots on goal, like, but somehow still was tied 1-1. They led in shots and hits, which is unlikely, but creates a wild game. And then we have Tom Wilson
taking somebody's mouth guard out of their mouth, and then the ref had to come take it from him.
That's not sanitary.
It's not. That was the first thing a lot of people said. They're like, that's just gross.
His hands wearing gloves. There's a lot of
He is
things.
wearing gloves. I bet after the fact, he kind of gave like a little
Yeah. They don't care, though.
I don't know if I should have done that. Yeah, Tom definitely doesn't care. Florida, Toronto, nothing really happened. This game was just totally quiet. Toronto outlasts the Rats.
I can't believe it.
The Rats did their best.
Yeah.
They were hitting. They were elbowing. They were shooting pucks at people's heads. They did everything that in their power, and Toronto held on.
Yeah.
So
can they continue to hold on, though?
That's what's interesting is Toronto's vibe has kind of been, I saw Scott Lawton talking, and they asked him like, oh, what are you going to do about Sam Bennett? And he said, we're going to go win a game. So they're not letting it get in their head. And maybe this is where, some of that stuff can come in to help them is by having those veterans that can say like, don't play into it. We're not, you see the end of the game, like Mitch Marner is not built for this. Just score goals and keep going, guys.
Yeah. I say this about clothes that we put out when there's new clothes, like this is my favorite.
Yeah.
I think that this was one of my favorite first rounds. And this is going into the second round is starting just as, this has all the makings of probably one of the best playoff series. Like going into the whole thing. I mean, we love playoffs already. We're already excited about it, but round one was bonkers.
Pure chaos, record set, things that have every day there was like first time in it. And I'm like, I'd see these and I'd say them to Carlin and she'd be like, can you fact check that? Because if she's going to repeat something, she wants to make sure it's, whatever in her world. And I'm like, I don't know. These 3 accounts posted. She's like, oh, if that guy said it, it's
like, is it Edmonton?
That's legit.
Like it's the first time ever, like 5 games in a row or something.
5 games in a row coming from behind. We got that one. We have Vegas, first time. I mean, they have a young history, but they've had a lot of playoff success. First time surrendering a 2-goal lead in the playoffs.
When they got the second goal, I'm like, oh, this is wrapped.
Yeah, you would think they would be able to.
They just don't. They don't give up very many goals.
Yeah, they were missing a couple guys, so it's like you have to think neither of them are long term. They're both supposed to play game 2, so game 2 will probably be a different story. But it's been a historically actually insane first round. Like the East was maybe a little bit less. It was a little bit more anticlimactic, where the West was just insane. So Winnipeg, Dallas.
What's gonna happen?
I feel like. Feels as though this is going to be a very easy Dallas series.
Dallas feels like the train has left the station and they are moving and they're trucking and they are not stopping until the finals.
And all they're doing is they're going to pick up a couple cars because Miro and Jason have both been practicing with the team. So they pick those 2 up and it's like Dallas I think if those 2 come in and like contribute and they look good, they don't they can shake the rust off pretty quick. Dallas has to be the cup favorite.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes maybe they come in, maybe they have a good dynamic going, a winning dynamic, and these 2 pieces that used to contribute a lot or contribute a lot during the season, maybe it doesn't mesh with what they have going right now.
That's absolutely possible.
So there's not a lot of room for error.
People are lining up to try to get Nate to comment on hockey, us included.
He's the go-to guy for commenting on hockey right
He's really becoming the guy. He played the game. He sees it well. Some say Nate sees the game in slow motion. And I agree. Speaking of, Nate continued his jet setting, and he's in his home state right now. So he will be back with us next week. So our hockey analysis is going to be a little bit subpar this week.
A little more opinion. A little more opinion than actually some statistics and the insider information that he kept getting.
A lot less. Edmonton all year, it seems like they've just had an answer for everything. They play a bad game, and they come back and they have an answer for it. Maybe they didn't have it in game 2 against the Kings. There was no answer. That might have been like literally the only game. But since then, they lost sort of embarrassing fashion. Big comeback, a lot of power play goals. They come back last night and just beat up on Dallas.
Yeah,
3-0.
I want to know. I wish Insider Nate was here, but is that coaching or is that the players? Is that Connor saying, "Hey guys," Connor and Leon saying, "Hey, let's figure it out." You know what I mean? Because obviously they don't do everything, but is it coaching or is it the players themselves saying, "Let's do what we have to do to win"?
I'm going to put on my Insider Nate hat, and I'm going to say it comes from inside the room.
Okay.
It has to. Because I feel like at this point, the players are doing their thing and the coach is just kind of cheering them on. They showed a clip of Paul Maurice talking to his Panthers players before the third period of, I forget what game it was. And all he said to the players in between periods was, he was like, be loud on the bench for all your guys. Every block shot, every this, we're hooting, we're hollering, we're loud on the bench. All right, later, guys. And it's like, so everything else has to come from the boys.
Yeah.
And the coach is just like, hey, guys, cheer each other on.
Yeah.
Let's have a great time. You're doing it right.
It's almost like when the coach has trust in the team, the team feels that.
Yep.
And they go and perform.
Absolutely. So I think that might be is Leon and Connor. I don't know. Leon's German, so I'm not sure. He's probably very brief with his instruction and concise.
Yep.
But we'll see. Going back to Edmonton tied up, insane series. We'll see if Rope Hintz plays. Got slashed as fuck in the foot. Allegedly left the arena in a boot. Never a good thing. And then Mason Marchment essentially said, something's going to happen. He said, it's a long series. They hurt one of our guys. We're going to be looking for an opportunity. And people were like, that's a threat.
Yeah.
He said, we're looking for an opportunity. That's okay. That's wild. So the next game in Edmonton, must see TV.
Yeah.
Going
I
to
think
be insane.
every game is must see TV.
That's fair.
Even Florida seemingly playing pretty they're playing dominantly or whatever. Fuck, I can't talk.
That's fine. Same thing.
Trying to use these big words.
It's tough.
Where's Nate?
Where's Big Brain?
Anyways, I mean, even those games are great to watch.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Even though the game's at noon, I don't know what they're doing with that. Like one game at noon. Come on, guys. Let's figure that out. Connor still blazing through with 20 points. I feel like he hasn't scored a lot of goals though.
He doesn't care about goals. He only cares about points. So that means he's setting up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's setting guys up, getting the assist, making the play. What's his plus minus?
He's +7. At some point, the hat's going to start to drop, because he's getting these crazy chances. He's just not bearing, which is kind of scary for Dallas that he's not fully operational. Which, if that ever happens, they're hosed. The other series that we have, this sucks when you only have 2 series left. This is brutal. And then the other folks out east, they're just dominating. Florida's dominating every level, and in game 2, no response. In Carolina, they just had 0 pushback.
Yeah.
Florida came out and just did their Florida thing, top to bottom, every guy on the same page. I think it's because in between the 2 games, the guys went to Dairy Queen. And they got photographed there, and they took pics with a fan. Full team just went out to the Dairy Queen.
Oh, DQ Lounge does that. It brings you together.
The Carolina guys were probably, I think during the playoffs, you can solidify your team on the road because you have no distractions. You have no hey, the Carolina guys legit probably had that the day in between games. Hey, we have to go to a kids hockey tournament today.
Yep.
Or we have to do there's a birthday party.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a thing. There's a thing.
It's always a thing.
There's always a thing, and they lost a game, so they're like, we'll talk about it before the second game. Meanwhile, they're at the DQ just freaking crushing blizzards, having a great time.
I mean, do you think the going to play in Florida, maybe play spoiler, homecoming spoiler, win one on the road? That rallies the boys up.
It's possible, but if they go, gosh, I don't see it. And I feel like if they lose game 3, they're not beating the Panthers 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So that's it.
It's also going to be hard to beat the Panthers because they too just got some VG merch delivered to the building.
That's true. Team store just got juiced up. Owners hit us up, said we need it. Thought it was going to be next season. They said we're actually low on printables now.
Yeah.
So
fill us up, they say.
Fill up the store. What do you got? And we're like, well, let's see. What do we have? Nothing. We're gonna have to print some stuff for you. So, at the team store and at the practice rink also.
Oh yeah, War Memorial.
That
practice facility. I can't wait to do a youth hockey tournament there.
In the final, so it feels, we've talked about this, it feels as though it's going to be, Florida feels like a lock. I don't know if Carolina's coming back. They've just hung Freddie out to dry. They seemingly decided that they didn't have a superstar, and so they got Rantanen. And then Rantanen took a drive around Raleigh and said, I'm not living here. Is there anything else? And they said, we could send you to Dallas. So they obviously recognize that they don't have a superstar. And now it's glaring that they don't have a true, guy that can take over a game by himself. Not a lot of teams do, though. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Florida's going to just move along here.
Yep.
And that's fine, I think. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they also, I'm now very much betting against Carolina because Freddie isn't playing tonight.
Oh.
And I thought Freddie played great, and he got him here.
Yeah.
I would keep running the big Danish horse, but they're not letting him go. So now I really hope that they don't turn it around. We love Fred. The other way, I don't know. It could be Edmonton. It could be Dallas. Edmonton has a lot of freaky things going on. As we talked about, Connor hasn't scored goals. He's got a lot of points, but he hasn't scored goals. They're just kind of getting this like vibe top to bottom, kind of like what Florida has going on, where they all seem like they're on the same page. They've got like the top line with Connor maybe doesn't have any real like rude dickhead in him, but pretty much from there on out, they've got rude players. You go through it, you got your Evander Kanes, you got Leon who's inherently rude. Then you got Trent Frederick and Perry.
Perry.
Those two.
I love Perry. And everyone says you love him when he's on your team and you hate him when he's on someone else's team.
Mm-hmm.
I just love watching him play. He got a penalty last night.
Yep.
It wasn't even his penalty to give or to take.
Nope.
But he took it and he's laughing. And he's just
laughing
LOLing
it up.
because he was in the mix per se, but
Yep.
I don't think he didn't do the egregious. He didn't pull Blackwell or whoever it was that got pulled down.
Yeah.
He was just standing there.
Yeah, he's just bystander.
But he performs and he's old. And I love that.
I love that his teammates talk about how old he is. Like they talk about like he's a relic of the past. And they're like, he's still doing it. This is crazy. And it's like, dude, he's not that old. I mean, he's old for hockey, which is insane. I vividly remember a time when Kevin Bieksa came to the Ducks and I would get so mad at him on the ice and would just call him Kevin. And I was like, man, we got this guy. He's so old. And then I looked him up. We're the same age. And I was like, okay, we're good. Maybe, you know what? Give Kev another shift. He's fine.
Yeah, he can handle it.
Kev's fine. Despite his age, Perry is averaging over 13 minutes on ice. He has 15 shots on goal so far. 5 of the 15 have gone in the net.
Perry puts himself in the right spot.
It's great, and it's why hockey's the best sport, because I'd also be willing to bet on any goal that happened. The first thing Perry's doing is he's pointing to McDavid, and he's going,
Yep.
You're fucking crazy.
You're crazy for that one.
I didn't think that was getting through, but you did, and I was there, and I was ready to pop it in for you.
Yeah.
So they're going wild. Whoever goes on, we'll see. If it is Dallas is able to go through, it's going to be on the back of Mikko Rantanen. Guy is playing like a man, like a superstar who was traded twice during the season and is just fucking pissed, and I think has reason to be. I don't know, we're a player first pod, so
I did just have a thought though.
lay it down.
If Dallas moves on to the final, maybe we catch a game in Dallas with Slagle.
Oh,
Because he'll be there for sure.
God, I would love that.
We'll just put that in the ether.
Oh,
Sometimes
boy.
you just put things out, you know?
I'd love to go to Dallas.
Yeah. I've never been to a game there.
Really?
Yeah.
We've got some big things moving here. Of course, kind of what we expected. Florida's just sitting around at the beach waiting for everyone right now.
Yes, they are.
Wrap it up, boys. But I'd like to get by. I'm not going to let you get out of this. Your high horse from the start was Toronto.
I knew this was coming. Hey,
People
it
don't
was
forget.
Toronto. You're right.
Yeah.
And Toronto, I think they fucked the pooch big time.
Yeah.
I know that was a bit of aggressive, but they did, because they could have won that series.
You know, the thing about Toronto is they always could have won. But like Austin Matthews is thinking about like buying a new dangly earring. Marner's playing Fortnite. Like they just look like they could give a fuck.
For 2 games.
Yeah.
Can you argue, though, that Toronto and Florida are the best teams in the East? Probably, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's any
Yeah.
team that was I think if there's any team that was going to compete with any teams in the West, it's only those 2 teams.
I think if there's anything that this current playoff format shows is that the format is wrong because
Yeah.
we keep getting. Elliot was talking about how this format shows matchups that are conference final or even Stanley Cup final caliber matchups in the first round. And it just sucks because then you're getting good teams out. Like right away, you're getting teams that are good out, and it's a bummer. But I think Toronto's got to blow up now.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think that they're doing all the necessary steps. Like now Shanahan's gone, which I think is a bit of an optics thing. And I think Marner will be gone because I don't know how he can come back.
Why would he?
I don't know how. And you're right. Why would he at this point? I think he needs a change of scenery,
big time.
But I think Brad Treliving has done a really good job there.
Yeah,
really good job. Like they're headed in the right direction. I've said this before, but when have we ever said the Toronto Maple Leafs are hard to play against in the past 5 years?
Yeah, no, never.
This year they were hard to play against.
But going forward through that, Florida Panthers are a gang of killers.
Yes, they are.
And they are so rude that they flipped the Toronto series in such an insane way by winning and then being so nice to Toronto. Almost felt like it was purposeful.
Yeah.
When Brad is getting interviewed and he's like, you guys get a lot of crap here. It's a hard city to play it. Also people are like, is this guy just evolving his villain game?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's Toronto. You're playing Toronto, and that's part of it. You have to deal with that
For sure.
right? So, I mean, the Florida Panthers, they're a team the way when I'm sure you guys agree. You watch certain games during the series, and especially against Carolina, because for the first 3 games of that series, they beat them on the scoreboard and they beat the shit out of them on the ice
In every aspect.
Yep. And it's certain teams when they're up 5-1, when they're up 6-1, you see guys not finishing their checks anymore, and they're kind of easing up. Not the Florida Panthers. There's certain guys that are running guys more when it's 6-1 because they're we're gonna fucking break your will right now, and that's why this Florida Panthers team is different. They don't care about every round. It's we have one round we want to get to right now, and that's to win in the cup, and that's it.
And when you've been there, and you've been there so recently, you know what it takes. So after Game 6 with Toronto, Matthew Tkachuk was like, "Oh, I'm not worried at all." He's like, "We set up a series to go long. That's our whole. We don't expect to sweep anyone. We expect to beat the shit out of you
Wear you down
4, 5, 6 games. So when Game 7 comes, we're ready to rock.
Yep.
And you are definitely not."
Yep.
And then they just embarrassed them.
How much of that do you think is just the guys playing on the team, or is it the coach harnessing the power? Harnessing them together. Is that just the crew that they've assembled, so that's how they play, or is he bringing that out of them?
I think a little bit of both, but I think at this point, Paul is more just steering them. He's not saying much. He doesn't have to. Maybe he has to remind them here and there at different points in the periods, games, maybe before the game. But that team is a well-oiled machine. They know exactly how they need to play. They've been doing it now for 3 seasons, right? 3 cup finals in a row. They know exactly the formula they need to win, and you can see it.
Yep.
From every single guy. It's they do the same thing. Look at, we've talked about before the podcast, but look at Barkov's play last night he makes. That is, but it's not anything crazy. It's picks up the puck first on the forecheck, gets the puck, protects the puck down low, makes obviously a really good play, but all that was just hard work.
Yep.
It was hard work, simple north-south hockey, and it fucking works. Because that's how you have to win. That's how you have to play to win the Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. I love the clip. I think it was in the Toronto's, might have been in this series of Paul Maurice in the locker room between periods, and he was reminding the guys, he was like, our bench is loud. He's like, every guy that whenever one of your guys blocks a shot, gets a big hit, whatever, he's like, let him know from the bench. And that was all he told the room. Let's all just be loud and be engaged.
Yep.
It's damn, this is a fucking pack of wolves.
Yeah, he has. He literally has a pack of wolves on his team right now.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of killers.
Oh, it's so
cool. I mean, it's fun. I have to say, you want to see a new team win, and but it's fun to watch them because they do everything. They play hockey. They play hockey the right way.
We've said this a couple times about Florida being, a pack of wolves, a bunch of killers. in my opinion, most NHL players, they've all kind of come they've got to the NHL in similar paths. The top guys in their respective leagues and all that stuff. And some guys maybe have a little bit more of that in them, and some maybe have a little bit less. Do you think there's something in Florida that is bringing that out of them? You know what I mean? Like if they get a new guy next season, is he be like, I got to be a fucking killer? And
Absolutely.
How do they bring that out? And like he wasn't, and everyone's like, what the fuck? He was on my team last year, and he wasn't this guy, and all of a sudden now he's smashing people.
Yeah. Mitch Marner just cross-checks someone in the teeth,
Yeah.
and Brad's like,
So-
yeah, do it.
So that's a culture thing, right? Then
He's cooking with the questions today.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking.
He said earlier that
He's on fire.
He said he's going to put you on the seat.
He's on fire with questions.
Brian
right
took
now.
a 6-minute nap, and he fucking got shot out of a cannon.
That is a prime question. And to answer,
You're doing a really good job deflecting it also.
no, I'm not deflecting it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to
Thank
answer
you.
it.
I thought you were doing the thing where like you repeat the question
No,
back
no,
while
I'm
you're
going
like,
to
oh,
answer
fuck.
it. I'm going to answer it.
Please.
Look at his example of, so Brad Marchand comes in their team.
Yep.
Look at Anton Lundell and Luosterainen.
Mhm.
Those guys before they were playing with him weren't running guys like they are now. Like Luosterainen hurt himself trying to run a guy. last
Yeah,
night.
because he's never done that before. And Brad's like, oh, no, if he has his back turned a little bit, you're good as day.
Those are guys that are watching or playing with Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk. Those guys are dragging them into the fight, right? They're pulling them in.
Yep.
And these guys are like, well, fuck, like these guys are playing like that. Like I can run a guy. I
Yeah.
can do that. I can do that too. I'm just going to get in line and follow lead.
Yeah.
And I think since they made that trade for Matthew Tkachuk, and then obviously you get Sam Bennett and those guys, and it's like those guys have kind of like morphed these guys into that. Like now you even see Sasha Barkov, like he'll run guys now.
Big time.
He didn't do that years ago. Now he's running guys. So like the culture and the standard of their team is, if you're going to come play for our team, this is the way you have to play for us to win. And you're seeing that.
There was a tale that Nate Schmidt told of, he wouldn't say who. It was really weird. It was a weird quote because he didn't want to say who the player was, but he's like, oh, it was one of these 3 guys, because he got pushback on it. And everybody's like, oh, this is clearly Barkov.
Yeah.
He said that he made a mistake in the offensive zone during preseason and went back to the bench, and Barkov sat him down and was like, we don't do that here. I don't care that it's preseason. That's a simple play you should make. Don't fuck that up. And he was like, yes, sir.
It's a good captain.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean,
They hold themselves there.
we talked to Keith Yandel the other day, and he said Barkov is the type of guy where he said he could score 50 goals in this league if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how talented it is. That's how well he shoots the puck. But he wants his teammates to be better. Like he wants everyone around him to be good. You'll say he'll never see him shoot into an empty net. Like he just won't do it. Where
He looks for the pass.
Yeah, he looks for the pass because coaches get mad at him sometimes. Yeah. And even on the power play, like he could set up in a one-timer spot if he wanted to. But he's like, he goes to the power play coach. He's like, where would we be the best? With wherever I'm at, I'll play the bumper, I'll play down low, wherever it is. How is it going to make our power play the best? And that's why, like Barkov, I mean, he's a guy that, I mean, he beat McDavid last year, right? So, I mean, you're right. Florida could easily keep this thing rolling. Does he do it again? I don't know.
Okay, fantastic. Nate, your picks in the East, trash, just awful. I don't know how you didn't see that one coming. But out of the West, they were somehow worse. I'm just kidding. Your Western picks are doing better than
yours.
Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Not better than Brian's.
No.
You were heavy on Dallas.
I was.
You're a big Dallas man.
And LA.
Yep. They could potentially be eliminated tonight. When this comes out, we might look silly, but this is part of the fun.
Yeah.
Tonight's the game. Let's get this recorded. Do you think Dallas has pushback?
No.
No. You think they're toast?
If Dallas brings their A game and Edmonton brings their A game, Edmonton wins.
Do you think there's going to be any factor of that changes, though, with Zach Hyman being hurt?
A little bit, but Matthias Ekholm is expected to be back. So that changes a lot.
Okay.
Also, I mean, I know you lose a physical force he's been. He's been a wrecking ball this whole playoffs, and especially this series.
Yep.
But I think you have other guys that can come in and, not replace Zach Hyman, but can help fill that role a little bit because they do have a lot of depth, and their depth has been superb.
We're minusing Hyman, but you think we're adding Ekholm. Who the D has been buzzing though? Who do you pull out? Troy Stetcher is maybe the odd man out, but he's had a great playoffs.
It's funny you say that. I read something today and saw a quote from Troy Stetcher saying that basically he said, obviously I'd be disappointed if I come out.
Yeah.
But if Matthias Ekholm comes in and makes their team better and we win, I'm happy.
He's got to say that though.
That sounds like
He can't go to the media and go, I think we should run 11-7.
I think
that's what he should be doing.
I totally disagree with both of you guys.
Okay. That's
I
fine.
think that he says that legit.
That's fair.
I think that's a legit.
I think he can't say the opposite.
Because he knows who else are they going to take out in place of him?
For sure. But also,
if Ekholm comes in, who's coming out?
I think he knows the writing's on the wall. Also,
Even though I don't care how good he's played.
That if Ekholm comes in and they're like, whoa, he lost his, like, he's not, you're like, takes a few games to warm up, that they're going to be like, oh shit. Like,
yeah, but Ekholm, a little banged and take time is better than Troy Stetcher.
Austin Matthews would argue with that because he was a little banged up and looked like he could not shoot the puck.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
But how hard do you think Ekholm has been practicing? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
to get ready. Like,
No,
they're
mean,
putting him through the paces.
that's
in
a
some
good question.
practices.
Because
He probably has a little crew that he's pushing his heart rate.
Yep.
You know, he's firing the glutes. He's getting it going. So he's, hopefully he won't have any rust coming in.
Do we know what his injury was?
Lower body. I don't know. They always go.
'Cause I feel like
that's a good guess.
I feel like we're about to find out because Dallas knows, and they're like, oh, you want to rip Rope's foot after he came back? They're going to be pushing. Like, this is the time where you find out if they have pushback or not. Is this a great opportunity?
Yeah, it is.
Like, and it was one of the craziest things this week was watching Florida play, and then the next day watching Dallas and seeing a tale of two teams where you're like, that's a team of killers that just won the cup and might win another one. And this is a team who has no answer for anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their dude gets slashed in the foot so hard that he misses a game, which is crazy. He could have a broken foot, and he's just kind of, ripping the shots and everything to get through. And then Bouchard just rips it on his foot, and nobody does anything. And that's when I was like, oh, they might be cooked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game within the game.
Yeah.
Right? And Edmonton's winning both of them.
Like, that feels like if that was Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett came out of the game from getting slashed, and then the game he came back, he got back to the bench, and he said, hey, Bouchard just slashed me on the foot. Everybody's like, oh, we're just going after him forever now.
Yeah, there's so many little, like, things that happen like that during the game where it's psychological warfare where, like, you're like, you get that guy, and you say your team is like that Dallas team. He's going back to the bench, and he looks defeated. He's grabbing his foot, and the other guys, and there's no pushback from anybody. You're like, we got him.
Oh, done deal.
Got him.
Where you saw the freaking...
And that's why I think that I don't care how good Dallas plays. I don't think they can beat Edmonton.
While we were going through our Florida chats, we did not, because I feel like this is a whole thing in of itself. Because I'm very interested to hear what you have. I almost texted you about it, and I didn't. I want to hear your in person. Paul Maurice, his take on the handshake line, and saying we shouldn't be in it. That's for the players. Why, Connor McDavid doesn't need to shake our athletic trainer's hand. You obviously went through many a handshake line. Were coaches not in the handshake line in your early days? Because Paul said when he came into the league that it didn't happen and that it switched at some point.
I can't remember every time. I think when you're in the handshake line, either if you lose or you win, you're like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Get me through the handshake line as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But I love what he said. I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a player, does it bother you? Like, no, I don't think it bothers you, but I totally understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to see the players,
of course,
shake hands, see them, exchange pleasantries, whatever they have to say to each other. But I agree with him. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the coaches can shake hands by the bench like they always do. And if the players want to go shake the coach's hand, they can. If not, then no big deal. I don't think it's no hard feelings after it. But I totally agree with Paul. I mean, Paul's must-watch TV, and what he says, and playing for him, he can speak so well. He's has great stories, and he's right. I mean, he's been around a long time, and I agree with him. I think there's no issue with just the players being there to shake hands.
He somehow is just after every game, just becomes a quote machine.
Yeah.
on the days off, he hits this, and people are still reeling from the other day, him giving the, sometimes you say a prayer, sometimes you shotgun a beer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we posted that on VG and was just like, this guy just understands these guys so much. He's a straight up therapist that just gets their psyche and understands that they're going to be serial killers on the ice and raising money for kittens and puppies off the ice, and is what it is. We actually made the locker room shirt for the Panthers this year.
Really?
The shirt,
Kind of like you did for when I was in Philly.
well, yes, but this is a regular season
It
shirt.
was like a mid-season shirt.
Paul wanted a shirt from us that his design, we did this whole thing when you're in Philly. We made you guys the locker room tee for in the bubble.
For the bubble.
For the bubble.
Everyone wore it too.
That was a great tee.
Awesome.
Gritty was on riding a motorcycle on it.
Yeah. He was, he's riding the Zamboni.
Oh, you're right.
He had
one of the players is riding a motorcycle.
And he had a flag because we were going into Canada.
It's insane.
It was great.
I
have to pull that up, Larms, for sure.
Yeah. Producer Larms, can you get that shot of Nate getting on the plane? He wanted this shirt, and we did the back and forth on the design with you, and you're kind of like, oh, this looks good. Could this, you kind of just have a little back and forth.
I remember you guys put me on there, and I was like, no, keep just put the big dogs on there.
Yeah. Which is whack. You ended up on there,
I appreciated it.
I think you ended up on there, whether you knew it or not. Paul just kept saying, where it says violent, make that bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Oh, that was good. You took it from a 48-point font to a 62. Let's run it up to a 78-point font. More.
I had to tone him down because I was like, I designed one.
So he just wanted basically like the gentleman to be like tiny,
yes,
and then violent.
Yes,
top.
Well, exactly. He at one iteration had violent twice because it was like he's like, no, I want to say violent, and then I want to say violent jump underneath, and I'm thinking we're not putting violent twice.
Yeah, we try really hard to not double things up on shirts. It happens when you're designing, whatever. But
so we got to it, but I believe the back says violent really big.
Yes, the back of the shirt I think maybe just says violent, massive.
Yeah, that's great. So I mean, the Florida Panthers they really are violent gentlemen. They really are.
And I'll tell you
They
what,
encapsulate what this is here.
they have our merch in the store.
Oh, it might be sold out by now.
Sold out by now. Sorry. That's on you now. We posted about it. But they really are. I think that's why we're gravitating towards them.
I can see why. I can see why. And that's unbelievable about Paul doing that. That's great.
Classic drop where we tell everybody, hey, it's available at 2 places and online. And it obviously sold out pretty fast online. And then now we're getting hate. Like we did something wrong because it sold out. It's like, I don't know.
Did you guys make like 4 of these?
Yeah, it's like we
didn't.
made them and gave them to them,
Yeah.
We don't know what happens after that.
When you see the post go up, head on over there and grab it if you need it.
There you go.
There's going to be more, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
There's going to be more.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, they say that you're not in trouble until you lose at home. And Edmonton has now lost at home.
I didn't think they were going to lose.
Didn't feel like it.
When Perry scored and the worm when the worm does the wormy things, I was like, oh, they're gonna win in overtime. But Florida has a rat.
Florida has a rat for every worm. No problem. It's wild because Perry is so old, freaking 40 years old. He scores this goal on the anniversary of his winning the cup his rookie season to the day.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Yep. And he's just like, still here.
Yeah, still doing it.
All my teammates are retired.
Yep.
And they're just working at other places now, doing other stuff. And Corey just never left the party.
Yep, he's still doing it.
He's still there. So bless his heart. He's not the only old guy, though. Little Brad is first player ever to score a shorthanded goal and an overtime goal.
He's really putting in work.
He's 37 years old. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame player. He got traded. He's the captain of the team, got traded midseason, and is contributing as much as anyone else.
I always think about when a captain gets traded, I want to, there's got to be a report. When a captain gets traded, does their production go up every time? Or is it, do they always kind of like, hey, I was trying hard. I was doing my job here. You traded me. I'm going to turn it up a notch.
and beat some more ass for my new team because you lost faith in me somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's that, and then I think there's also when you have it's a bandwidth issue. So maybe like if he had to be, organizing the fantasy football tournament and like making sure all the wives are getting along. Now he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
You guys do whatever you want. Oh, you're doing a Masters thing? I'll put my $100 in. Just let me know. He's got less on his mind.
He's just playing hockey.
He's just playing hockey now.
Yep.
He doesn't have to do the business side of being a captain, telling guys what time it is. The Bruins struggled all season, so I'm sure like literally every game he was sitting somebody down. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You can't be bad at hockey.
Yeah.
We can't all be bad at hockey. One or two of us can be bad at hockey, but not all of us.
That's true.
But I think you're right. I think captains get traded and then get it's like a rescue dog.
Yeah. And maybe like you said, the team was on his back because he's the captain. Now he's at a new team. He has like no pressure. He's just all he has to do is go play hockey, and he doesn't have to do the day-to-day. So that makes it easier.
Sam Bennett is crushing. I think if they win, Conn Smythe winner. But he's only scoring on the road. He has 12 goals on the road, but 13 in the playoffs. So I don't know if he can finally start to figure it out at home or if this is just a dumb luck stat that like it's hard. It's gone on for so long that it's hard to just say it doesn't mean anything, but maybe it doesn't mean anything. He can pot a couple at home.
Maybe he has some obligations at home when he's at home. Maybe he's got buds hitting him up for tickets. He's got, kind of like us with Kulikov.
Oh no,
but
Kulikov's okay.
But maybe he's got buds hitting from tickets. He's got other things going on, so
That's
it's
true.
It's harder to focus.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to be a game time decision. He looked a little weird in the last game, and people theorized he was hurt, and then he didn't show up to practice.
Oh man,
the Oilers have been good at plugging people in. My hope is that Ryan going down brings Max Jones into the game.
Oh, I love that. That's a real conundrum for us, though.
That's a real issue for us. That's a real problem. Being a good friend and even better guy. I hope he gets some time in though, so in the chance that the Oilers win, that he can play enough games to get his name on there. Because I don't know if I could think of anything worse than getting traded, your team going, and then being like, I didn't play enough games in the final to get my name on the cup.
That would be a real kick somewhere.
Yeah. Bad for the Nuge. He's been around forever. He's an old Oiler head. Hopefully he's okay.
He was a first-round pick at some point, right?
They have so many first-round picks. They had four first-round draft picks in 7 seasons.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, just line them up. They got everybody. They got all the guys. Mention, Brian, the boys are going to be in the building. We're going to Florida tomorrow.
Yep.
If you see us at the game, feel free to come say what's up. We have met many a Violent Gentleman fan on the road, gone to eat with folks, bought beverages both ways, done all kinds of things. We've yet to meet a Scrum fan on the road.
Oh.
That's just like, hey, love the pod.
I'll tell you what. If you're going to the game Monday night,
yep,
and you catch us in a line where there's beverages being bought, I'll buy you whatever you want. You come up to me, whatever they have on the menu.
Wow.
So
okay,
you say, hey, what's up? What's up, boys? And I'm like, what do you want? It's on my tab.
Yep.
It's on VG, not mine.
You mentioned
but
no. That's you said it.
It's on the VG card. Not my personal.
You said it. That's no personal has to be. This is great. If you mention the pod first, don't mention VG first.
Yep.
We'll buy you a drink.
There you go.
So roll through. We'll be noticeable because we'll be next to the empty netters dudes. So like if you see them on the concourse, we'll just be right by Chris and Dan. So just find them and then we'll be hanging out with them. So
I'm pretty sure I'll be wearing this hat.
I think the biggest other thing in our lives that we've all been talking about is Pete DeBoer got fired, and he said some crazy shit. He came out and first of all he pulls the franchise goalie after giving up 2 quick ones. His fault. That's arguable. But then producer Larms had a great quote that he was saying some shit that sounded like somebody that was trying to get fired post game. And he came out and said he straight up got questioned about the decision, and he doubled down on talking shit about the goalie. It was like, well, last year he wasn't great at the playoffs either. like just fucking ragdolls your franchise goalie who's signed to a big contract. It's a tough go. It feels like Pete is just kind of a loose cannon, and he's just going to say what he wants to say.
Yeah, I mean, I love him as a coach. I think he's a good coach.
Yep.
I'm kind of mad that the Ducks already hired a coach, because I think if they were still looking for a coach, he would have been a great, he could have been a guy to come in. So I think it's just hard to lose. I think it's hard to lose. And when you're, when you're in his position, and you put faith in your guys, and, and you feel like maybe you did all you could do, and, and
they didn't, maybe.
Or I don't know, because maybe he knows some things in the room and the only guy that he could talk about was the goalie, and maybe there's other things, and he kind of projected it all on him, and unfair to him. But you know what
Jake's
I mean? I know, it's like, thanks a lot.
Fuck.
I mean, maybe he has a great relationship with Jake, and he's like, I'm just gonna put it all on you, because I'm not gonna talk shit about the other guys.
Maybe he thought he did.
Yeah.
And then Jake was like, that sucked.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. I got pulled from the game, and then I had to stand next to fucking Ray Ferraro talking about how shitty I am for the rest of the game.
I mean, that's at the end of the day. I mean, all the analysts and everyone are going to they're going to say what they're going to say, but no one really knows but the guys what happens in the room.
This is true.
You know what he's getting from upper management, and so.
And then they axe him. So we'll find out. Somebody's going to pick him up.
100%.
He's going to go somewhere super quick. He's been in the conference finals 6 of the last 7 seasons. Like, guy's a killer. He just maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a savant and he just is good at coaching, but doesn't know how to fucking talk to people. That's possible.
That's also true.
Very possible. We've got free agency coming up on July 1st. The Samueli family here in Anaheim has said, checkbook's wide open. So we just real quickly, I know Sam Bennett has had a lot of free time on his hands. He's probably just been he probably just discovered us. He's going back. He's watching every episode of Scrum Culture. So, Sam, you've been sitting in your hotel room in Edmonton, watching all our episodes, and now you're finally here. I'm glad we got you. When you're getting all these offers coming in, you don't necessarily need to think about state tax. It's not that much money. You can live a great, super comfortable, super anonymous life. Samuelis are willing to give you whatever you want. Maybe you get a little Vetrano deal. You split it all up, and then when you retire, you go back to Florida. Good to go. You're only a young man. You're going to be 29 years old when you sign this deal. I don't know. Maybe we give you an 8-9 year deal. Whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. We're going to Florida.
I think I'm going to go to the airport now.
Let's go. Brian's travel was unhinged at best. And when many people that I went to game 3 and 4. Brian went to game 3. Everyone I saw between 3 and 4 said, "Where's Brian?" I said, "Oh, he went home." And they're like, "Oh." And they kind of start doing the math. I go, "We flew. We landed in Miami at 5:30 p.m. We drove directly to Skyline Chili, ate Skyline Chili, went to the game, drove back to Miami. Brian went to sleep for
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours, and then got back on a plane and was home by 10 a.m.
You're a maniac.
It was sick. We took off from LAX at 9 a.m. Got there, time change, 5:30, whatever, did our thing. And then I landed back at LAX at 10 a.m. and I only brought a backpack. So it looked like I was being nefarious.
Oh,
in my mind, I was thinking like, man, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm guilty conscience or something. It's like I didn't do anything nefarious. I mean, we fucked up Skyline. That was pretty nefarious.
Yeah,
we got to witness game 3, which was the absolute shit show of just fights.
It was ridiculous. Ton of fights, super scrappy. I was kind of hoping that's how that was kind of the last of it. Yeah. Like, it never did that again. So I'm assuming both coaches were kind of like, hey, fuck off. Like, let's just play our game.
Yeah.
And the guys listened. But game 3 was fucking sick. It was a great time.
Wait, what happened in game 3 again, and what happened in game 4?
3 was the fights and the wildness.
Hold on.
You were there.
What was the outcome of the game? Did the home team win?
Home team took the win in game 3.
Okay, and what happened to the home team in game 4?
In game 4 was the one where I had the 7 a.m. flight, and they decided to go to overtime and fucking lose.
Because who wasn't in the building with you?
Because we didn't have the conjunction mojo.
We talked
so you
about
think
it.
that was the difference?
I mean, with the superpowers, VG superpowers together. Home teams win. He went. Didn't you go to Game 5 or Game 6 in LA? You went to a game in LA.
Yeah, I went to a
without
game
me.
without you, and they lost. Also,
And they lost.
Yeah,
But they won the first 2 games.
it's like when we're there, we kind of set the tone of like, hey, let's muck it up a little bit.
You know.
Like we don't need to play this tight game.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
VG
all right.
boys are here. We got to
Yeah.
be
Boys,
proud.
we got to
Yeah,
muck it up.
Yeah.
And I think this mindset comes from we've had multiple players that we've like gotten tickets from or told, and then they've said, hey, you see me rub that guy out in your guys' corner?
I mean,
I knew you guys were sitting over there, so I wanted to like really throw an elbow in the back over.
I text Cooley after that Game 3, and I was like, oh, whatever, good game, you know. And then he's like, you see that dude where you taught me? And like he was like pushing the guy down.
Oh,
and
yeah,
kinda,
no,
like,
I
north-south.
saw that. He was north-south on him.
and
I
he's like-
noticed
He's
that.
like, yeah,
yeah.
pushing him. And I'm just like, don't tell anybody that. But,
Don't tell anyone
Actually,
else
I
that.
thought about you when
Yeah.
I saw that
Yeah.
picture. I was like,
he's like,
he's
full on, just
he's like in turtle, and he's like north-south on him right
he's
here.
like
Yeah.
Full on
pushing his
there's
head in
pressure.
your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's a good defensive tactic.
There you go.
Best offense is good
Jiu-jitsu
defense.
with hockey.
Yeah. Wild mix,
Yeah,
but works.
it
Yeah.
works.
Works, especially you have a guy who's riled up. He's trying to fight you.
There's nothing worse than getting pushed down and not be able to get up.
No,
You know,
no,
you're just like, oh,
it's not fun.
I want to punch you, but I can't because
can't.
my face is on the ice.
Yeah, that's an easy way to push him away. So series ends, Nate. We were going over. I don't know if you want to call them factoids or all these fun little things. What is your favorite random thing from the final? We have a lot of them.
I think the first one is the third line of Lundell, Luosterainen, and Marchand.
Yep.
55 points in 22 games between the three of them.
Which is crazy. That sounds like that's your top line.
That is a top
That's
line.
top line
Those are
production.
top line numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you look at that, and right away, you're like, okay, well, if you were going to look at that stat
Mhm.
and you saw that and didn't know who won the series, you probably guess Florida wins the series, right?
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
That's an X factor. Another stat I saw after, and I'm not a big stats guy. Florida led 255 minutes. They led in the series, the longest in history.
Mhm.
After game one, you're like, wow, this is close.
Mhm.
Really, really close.
Yep.
And then as the series got to like game 3, game 4, and then especially game 5,
Yep.
you saw the discrepancy in both teams. And
Mhm.
obviously goaltending.
Yep.
You know, if you're going to go back and forth, you're Edmonton, you're going back and forth between goalies. And you have Sergei Bobrovsky, who's just holding down the fort. Like,
Yep.
there's an advantage.
Yep.
You know, I'm not saying anything bad about Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl because they don't get there without them.
For sure.
But the depth of Florida was much more apparent than
Mhm.
Edmonton. I'm eating crow a little bit because it just shows to show you how good Florida is.
Mhm.
Like, they are, to me, they're like the perfect team.
Big time.
The perfect team.
Yeah.
Whatever they need from a certain individual, they'll do it. Like Brad Marchand gets traded there,
Mhm.
and right away it goes to their third line.
Mhm.
How good they were, how good those other two guys became, and then you look at like Barkov. Like, did he not score the whole series? Right?
I don't know if he had a goal the whole series.
Sorry, he didn't have one goal in the whole
Yeah.
finals. But like, look how much McDavid did.
Yeah. McDavid didn't do much.
So like everything, like they all know what their jobs are, and if it's Markov who's the captain, okay, I'm not going to score this series. We're going to win because I know these guys are going to score. I know
Yeah.
Reinhart, but
Yeah, he set up some scoring chances and did some plays
exactly
that were. Do you think, because game 1 was so close, do you think that Florida just made game 1 that was Edmonton, that's all Edmonton had, and then Florida had more, so they made some adjustments to battle that?
Yeah, I think Florida kept getting better throughout the series. I wanted to see 7 games. I big part of me wanted to see Connor McDavid win, Leon Draisaitl. You want to see those guys win a cup. You want to see greatness win a cup.
Yeah.
But like, I think we're seeing greatness in a team. Like this team, like I don't know if like they could possibly win 3
For
in
sure.
a row. Like,
I mean,
their team could set up if Bill Zito can keep some guys. Like, sky's the limit for this team.
They asked Bill something last night, and he smiled and was like, "We're going to try to keep all 3." Because they were talking about Brad, Bennett, and Ekblad.
Why wouldn't
And he's
you?
like, "We're going to try to keep all 3." Just kind of smiled. It's like, I mean, yeah, if you've won 2 in a row, like, how does Bill not just be like, "Look, here's the money I have. Here's what I can do. You guys want to do it again, or do you want to go somewhere else and get paid more?" Like,
Obviously,
go ahead.
Sam Bennett leads. He probably, he's got the most leverage out of all
Yeah,
3
for
of them.
sure.
But if he can just be like, "Hey, Bill, how do we keep all three of us?
Yeah. What do we have to do?
What do we have to do to
Yeah.
make that happen?
I think that's the difference in the team mentality is that's like a very Sidney Crosby mentality is I'm going to take less, but show me what you're going to do with the money because we got to figure this out. You know, whatever, when people are trying to make the Connor Sid comparisons and they're like, well, if Connor can win 6, he can come back and win 7. Sid did it this year. But the caveat to that was he had Marc-Andre Fleury behind him who stopped 49 of 51 shots over 2 games.
Yeah.
And you're like, he doesn't have that. And part of why he doesn't have that is because he makes a fuckload of money and his buddy makes a fuckload of money. So it's like, do they need to do a better job of spreading the cash around and maybe be like, does Leon, do you trade Leon?
No, you can't. You just signed him to a deal.
I know, but if that's the problem, is being
I'm sure any team is going to take Leon. I know that
for sure.
If they're willing to trade him, but you don't. You just went to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row
for sure,
and you played against a really good team. You went to 7 games in 6 games, so you're not far off. But you are for sure the best team. You are the other best team in this league besides Florida.
But you're getting worse.
No, not necessarily.
You took it to 7 last year.
Well, we also thought they were getting worse going into the playoffs.
For sure.
Right?
They had to make some
look
adjustments.
what they did, and they made adjustments. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that they don't need to do a lot, but they need to make tweaks in certain areas. Like obviously, what was the issue? Goaltending.
Yeah.
And their depth.
So where does the money come from in goaltending? Because like one of their depth players.
Maybe you make a trade, but it's not Connor or Leon. Maybe it's within your core group. Maybe it's a Darnell Nurse. Maybe it's a Nugent Hopkins. Maybe it's an Ekholm. I don't know. Maybe it's someone that is in that core that you have to shake things up just a little bit and make the team makeup a little bit different. Like the Leafs have to do. Same thing.
Oh yeah,
the Leafs have to do the same shit.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother conversation.
They're a whole nother ball game. I mean, the other thing that's insane about the Panthers is the Charlotte Checkers are in the final also. So you talk about pipeline. Usually, people leverage the future to win now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they get rid of the draft picks. They do this and that. Bill has to go straight from a Stanley Cup final to a Calder Cup final. That's crazy. Like,
it's not a bad problem to have.
No,
not if you're the general manager of the Florida Panthers. No, definitely not.
I mean, it's showing Bill is like a hockey genius.
Well, and think about because you have all these guys that when you go on long playoff runs, you saw the Black Aces and all those guys that hadn't won. You know, and he knows he's got all these guys that he can just insert into the lineup. And you've heard like Reinhart talk about it, like when he was hurt. It's like, like if I get hurt, like I'm not worried because I know one of those guys is going to step in and do the job, or someone else is going to step up. We're just not worried.
And is that so? So Charlotte made it to the final with probably some of their best players
not there
up with the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I wonder, are those guys, if those guys are allowed to go back now?
I don't know if some of them. I think there's a rule where they have to be like on it's called like the clear day roster or something like that in the American League, where they have to put them on the roster beforehand to see if they could make them or allow them to go back to the American League from that. So I'm not sure.
We got to look into that because that'll be interesting. That feels like insane if they did this without even their best guys, and then they're come back and just be like, "Yeah, I just lifted the cup up here, come down here, try to grab another one."
Yeah,
that's awesome. God bless them.
I will say about the AHL, doesn't matter who wins.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the official championship shirts on AHL.com is a VG shirt.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
There it is.
So
Brian,
we did design some.
Brian wanted to toss that out there. We are officially AHL licensed. So thanks to our sponsor, VGHC.com.